Hey guys, Rich Page, our Jonathan Timber Frame Company, the main timber framer. I've been doing a bunch of videos and I've been doing some mortising. I thought I'd take a couple seconds just to show a little more detail about these Arunda jigs. And if you're thinking about getting a set, maybe this will help you along on how they work. So a couple details that I wanted to point out on these jigs. You'll see a line over here and you'll see a line over here. When you're running your router on the face of this jig, what you have to do is, this is your clamping surface here. If you clamp here, you'll run into your clamp with the router. So if you're wondering, the lines here and the lines here, that's your clamping area on the opposite sides to make sure when you clamp up that you're in the right position. I'm going to clamp up in a second, but the other thing I want to talk a tiny bit about is the maintenance of these jigs. And I'm going to flip this up a little bit. I'm walking behind here so I can see the camera. Hopefully I'm doing a little bit better job with some focus. But what I want to point out is, see the pitch buildup down here? And I'm going to turn this here, and you're going to see the pitch buildup on the sides. And this is coming off, so that's not too bad. But what will happen is, as you're going along, especially if you're working with pine like me, is you're going to get a lot of pitch buildup there. This is the surface that you want to trace with your router, and if you're getting buildup there, you're going to get little bumps potentially in what you're routing, so you want to keep these surfaces clean. So you've seen this in the shop in a bunch of my videos. There it is, the old trusty bottle of alcohol. So I've got a rag, and all I do here is squirt a little bit of alcohol on the rag, and I'm going to go around that surface, and I'm going to clean off all the pitch buildup before I start doing mortising. And I'm doing this cleanup constantly through the process of several mortises. I'm going to clean up the faces, make sure I don't have any pitch buildup here, because you want to slide your router on this area and you want it to be as smooth as possible. So there you go. The pitch is cleaned up. It's ready to go. What I want to demonstrate is putting this in place and how that works in just a little more detail. So I've got the jig. I've got a registration mark. Let me see if I can find my registration mark. I've got my registration mark here. I think I'm going to have to move the camera. I'm going to move it around so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got this in place, but this is my registration mark. This is on the top of a rafter I'm going to cut. Notice the V notch here. So I'm going to touch this off just a bit, and I'm going to center onto my V match, onto the V to match on my registration line. You want to check, these are the adjustable kind here. You want to make sure that this face here is square, flat to the timber, and you'll always want to check this for squareness because this is adjustable. So now you've got this in place. Let me come back around. I'm going to walk around the timber here. Sorry about that. And I'll talk about these clamps for a minute. These are the Arunda clamps. I'm going to set it down so you can take a look at it. So you can see this clamp, and let me tell you, this thing will bite you and pinch you and you'll cry. So you got to be careful with these things because that's what, they are rugged beyond belief. Now, something that I want to point out also is, I took this end off a quick grip clamp because it comes with just the metal end. So if you're an old school carpenter, when you were pounding in nails and you pounded a nail and you drove it in a little bit far, you left a mark called a rosette, if you remember that in the old days. If you're doing finished work and you drove your nail too far, you leave a rosette. These clamps will leave a rosette on the back side. I'm going to clamp it up and show you. So because these clamps don't come with a shoe, I took these off a quick grip so that I can put it on there. It still clamps up, but now what I'm doing is I'm eliminating a rosette that this clamp creates on the back side of the timber. Let me clamp this up and you'll see what I'm doing. Put this down. Okay, not going anywhere. So I like to put them like this so I can see what's going on. And you just bring it in position. Just a couple of these. I'm going to go underneath and show you what I'm talking about with this down below. Okay, so you'll see the shoe. This is on an unfinished side of the timber, so it's okay. But what'll happen is, this part of the clamp, this metal piece, if you bite in and you really reef on the top of that clamp, you're going to leave an indent down here. You're going to leave an indent from this clamp. And if it's a finished timber, if it's B or C versus A or D on a side that's finished, you're going to have an ugly looking rosette. So think about putting some shoes on your clamps, but notice where I clamped this up. So this is that line I was talking about right here. And now you can see I'm clamped to the outside of the line so that I should be in good shape. Let me put the other clamp on real quick. Put this down for a second. Grab my other handy dandy clamp. And again, I'm going to put this on. And I'm going to find the bottom like this, so you kind of manhandle it here. And you want to make sure that your clamp is on the outside of this line. And that's really all you need. Make sure your clamp's not going to move. And it's good to go. So let's take a look underneath. And you'll see I've got the shoe, so now I won't get a rosette mark from the clamp because I'm clamping down too tight. Of course, you don't want this jig to flop around on you, so you want these clamps to be tight, but you don't want to leave a rosette on a finished side. So again, if you look over the top, you'll see my registration mark. You'll see the V-notch, so I'm pretty much lined right up. That's all there is to it. I'm ready to cut this mortise in the side of this rafter. So wanted to share that with you. Give me some feedback. Click like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.